The topic of today's webinar will be the canned system report called the CoC APR. So once you log into Service Point, you will click on the tab to the left called Reports, and inside this list of reports you will find the CoC APR. You will select it, and then you will have the option of running it for your defaulted provider, searching for a provider, or running it on a reporting group if you have access to reporting groups. So for example, there are several agencies that have multiple projects. So a user may want to run it for their Enter Data As project, not their default project. Or you may have a supervisor that wants to run a report for all the projects combined. So you have three options. I'm going to search and run it for a provider, and I'm going to run it for our coordinated entry provider. Then you're going to select your date range. So I'm going to do it from July 1 through today, because I know this project started July 1. I then select my entry type, which for most all providers, it is HUD. But we do have some providers that are SSVF, so they would select VA. And we do have a couple of path providers. So most people are going to pick HUD, and then you click Build Report. And then depending on how much data you are trying to pull, the system will process by your little spinning circle here, and then it will eventually give you your report. One of the beautiful things about any canned report that you run is what I refer to as live data corrections. And what that means is if you find an error and you fix that error, you immediately can rerun the report, and when you do, you see that the data was fixed. Unlike ART reports, where you fix the data today and you can't see the corrections until tomorrow. So the canned reports have an added benefit because you can see your data changing right in front of you. So we're processing here, and we now have our data returned to us. So question 5A is broken up into 6 sections. Total number of persons served, number of adults, number of children, number of leavers, number of stayers, number of veterans, number of chronic, number of youth. So a stayer and a leaver is someone who left your program, so they have an exit date. A stayer is someone who does not have an exit date, so they're still in your program. So for this particular program that we have run, we served 837 people, of which 628 were adults and 209 were children. Also, all of my clients have left the project, which is excellent for this project because as coordinated entry, it's an immediate entry exit. So we should not have any stayers, okay? So it then tells you about your different levels of data, and then we get into question 6. Question 6 is where your data quality is. It is 6A, B, C, D, and E. So A is name, social, date of birth, race, ethnicity, and gender. And you're going to have a don't know column, a missing column, and an issue. So 98 clients probably refused to give us their social security number. And that's perfectly acceptable. A client can refuse to give social. We have 21 missing, so that means it's completely blank. So we didn't answer don't know, refused, we left it blank. And then we have some data issues. And what is a data issue? Well, it's hard to say. You need to go to the client and look at what it could possibly be. And every number that is blue on a report is clickable. So if I were to click on this number 2, it would show me the client ID, first and last name, so I could go to that client and fix that client. Now, I will tell you that more than likely, the data issues for name, social, and date of birth are related to the data quality questions for those 3 questions. So when you type in a client's name, you have a drop-down question that says name data quality. When you put in a social security number, the next question is social security data quality. And when you put in a date of birth, you have a date of birth data quality. And more than likely, the issues are because you didn't answer the data quality question that goes with those 3 questions. Then we have veteran status, project entry, which is your entry date, relationship to head of household, client location, and disabling condition. So if we have errors here, it means it's missing data and you need to go fix it. Part C is destination, income at start, income at annual assessment, and income at exit. So if you have errors, again, it's missing data. We then have 6D, which is your data quality to determine if a client is chronically homeless. So missing housing, missing time and institution. So this question is, where did you sleep last night? This question is, how long did you sleep there? Approximate date of the episode of homelessness started. Number of times you've been homeless on the street, emergency shelter, or safe haven in the past 3 years. And total number of months that you've been homeless on the street, emergency shelter, or safe haven. So this provider has no missing data in any of those questions. Then we have data timeliness. Data timeliness is how long it took you to enter your data. So that means that if you're doing live data entry, it would be 0 days. But most providers are filling out the intake form and then entering the data the next day or the next day or the next day. So based on your back date and then the day you actually do the data entry, that's going to be your data timeliness. So if the date on your form is November 11th and today is November 14th, then that would be 3 days. So it's important to make sure that if you are backdating, that the difference between the date on your form and the day you're actually doing it is as small as possible. Then we have a question on outreach, and if you're not an outreach provider, you're going to have no answers in that question. Question 7A is number of persons served, so we have 628 adults and 209 children. Now, from 7A down, we're going to have a new row called data not collected. Data not collected equals missing data. So if you have answers in this row, you have missing data which you will need to go fix. Point in time relates to our point in time that we do in January. So it's irrelevant until we're doing our point in time count. Number of households served. Again, another question about point in time. And then 2 questions about persons contacted and engaged. Again, contact and engagement relates to outreach. And so if you're not an outreach project, you're not going to have data in those 2 questions. And then it breaks it down by gender of adults, gender of children, and then gender of persons of missing age. So if you have something here, you have a missing date of birth, and you would need to go correct it. We then have an age breakdown. We have a race breakdown, ethnicity breakdown, and see, we actually have one right here for data not collected. So if I were to click on that, it would tell me who the client is, and I would need to go fix that because it is missing data. We now have question 13, which relates to our disabilities. So physical and mental health at start, physical and mental health at exit, physical and mental health of people who are still in our project, stayers, number of conditions when they entered our project, and number of conditions when they exit our project, number of conditions of people who are still in our project. Then we have the DV question. So are you a DV, yes or no? And then the corresponding, are you currently fleeing DV, yes or no? And again, on this particular project, we have some missing data. So we would need to go in and correct that. Question 15 is probably the most important one, and that is, where did you sleep last night? So remember, if you're an emergency shelter project or a rapid rehousing project, you should be only serving homeless clients. So the majority of your answers should be in this first section. So depending on your project, you may have clients in the next subsection or the next subsection, okay? So it's going to depend on your project where your data should fall. Then we have several questions on income. So we first have our range of income. So for all of our clients, our range runs from no income to over 2,000. So again, depending on your clients and your data, your information is going to look different than what you're currently seeing. Then where are the sources of that income from? And as you can see, it's pretty spread out. Then we have cash income category, earned or other income by start and annual assessment or exit. So what we're looking at here is income change over time. So your client came in with no money and he left with money. So that's a positive outcome of gaining income. Or your client came in with money and left with the exact same money, okay? So looking at income over time. So you're either going to catch the income at entry and exit, or depending on the kind of project, you're going to catch your income at entry, update, annual assessment, and or exit. So it could happen at 4 different times depending on your project. We then have question 19A, and this is change of income by start and last status. So if you've done an update or an annual assessment, you are going to see how the income is changing over time, okay? Client income again at start and exit, okay? So the data is shown to you based on the start and the exit data, okay? And again, more income based on start, latest status, and or exit. So several questions to show you how your income is changing or not changing depending on your project over time. We then have type of non-cash benefit, number of non-cash benefit sources. So does a client have food stamps and WIC, or food stamps and TANF, depending on what the non-cash benefit is. We then have health insurance. So your clients have Medicaid, Medicare, private health insurance, or they have no insurance. We then have how long have they been in your program. So again, depending on your project is going to depend on where the data falls. So for the project I ran it for as coordinated entry, we have entry exits on the same day. So it's literally 1 day. But if you're a 30-day emergency shelter, you probably want your clients with you maybe no more than 60 days. But again, it's going to depend on your project and how your data is, because sometimes the clients can't leave under 60 days and they need 95 days to get out of your project successfully. Then we have the average and median length of time they've been in your project. And then for RRH, rapid rehousing, how long did it take you to house the client? So this is a very important question for rapid rehousing, because HUD says that we should be housing clients in a rapid rehousing project within 30 days. So based on your entry date and your residential move-in date, that is how you're going to calculate how long did it take you to house your clients. And then question 23 is 2 parts. Exit destinations for people who stayed more than 90 days and exit destinations for people who stayed less than 90 days. So to get your total exit destinations, you have to add up both subsections. So for this project, we know the clients stay less than 90 days, so their exit destinations are going to fall into 23B. And again, this is coordinated entry, so this is the people calling saying, I need some type of assistance. So their exit destinations are spread out through all the choices. Then we start with question 25. And 25 starts our veteran section of this report. So depending on if you are a veteran-only project, you're going to see hopefully all of your clients down here in the veteran section. So we have number of veterans, number of veteran households, gender of our veterans, age of our veterans, disability conditions of our veterans, cash income at start, assessment, and exit for our veterans, income types for our veterans, non-cash benefits for our veterans, and then exit destinations of just our veterans. And then we come to a whole nother section of this report that is based on our chronic clients. So of our clients, 123 of them are chronically homeless adults, or total. Then we have number of chronically homeless persons by household, and then we have a breakdown of their genders, a breakdown of their ages, a breakdown of their mental health condition or physical condition, their income sources, and their non-cash income sources. And then we have one more section, very long report, of just our youth. And youth is broken down between 12 to 17 and 18 to 24. So this would be based on their age, okay? So we have age of our youth. Are they parenting youth? The gender of our youth, the living situation of our youth, how long have they been in our project, where did they go when they left our project, and that brings us to the end of the report. So this report is an excellent report for any and every case manager and supervisor to run, and I would recommend running it on a very regular basis, like monthly, because it's going to allow you to find your errors in shorter periods of time versus waiting to run this report for one whole year. It's going to show you where you have some data issues that you can fix, and it's possible that maybe you can't fix them because you no longer have the client and so you don't know the answer to the question. This report can be run for a day, a week, a month, a quarter, a year, 2 years, whatever time frame you want to run it for. Just remember that the longer the time frame, the longer it's going to spin, especially when in just this short period of time, this project had 837 clients. So keep that in mind, that it could spin and spin and spin for some time. Again, each number that is blue is clickable. So if I just quickly click on this and close it so that you really didn't see that, it's going to tell you the client ID and the name, first and last name, so you can then go and find that client in Client Point and fix the error, if it's a fixable error, okay? Remember with data timeliness down here, the question about data timeliness, that is not something you can fix because it's based on your back date. So if you did your intake on October 1st and today is November 14th and you're just now entering the client in backdate mode for October 1st, then that's 45 days. And there's nothing you can do about that. It is what it is. So you cannot fix data timeliness. But all of the other errors that show up on this report are something that you can fix and you should. So this report is a report that you now should be running on a regular basis to check your data entry. So if you have any additional questions about this report, please do not hesitate to send them to us here at Homeward. And the help desk email is hcis@homewardva.org.